Let me say blessed love to everyone. Give thanks for your presence. Give thanks for your patience. Give thanks for the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Give thanks to each and everyone in the temple with us, the Tigers Temple officially. Each and every Sunday we come here at this time, and I'm very thankful for all of those of you who are coming into the temple for the very first time. We definitely welcome you here. This is the moment where we, take this to another level, the scholarly level, and, give a good understanding in all what we do and all what we say. We are in full celebration mode at this hour as we are celebrating the 130th anniversary of the Earth Day of Emperor Haile Selassie I. And that is the energy and that is the spirit that we are bringing to you this evening on another level. We are really in celebration mode, eh? And although this is the Tigers Temple, and although we are, stressing the scholarship, this evening we just want to have a good vibes, a good meditation, not necessarily like they say have fun, but just hold a good 1-2 vibration. I'm going to be touching upon some mystic things that I think we should all be connected to as it relates to this moment of celebration, of course, as we are celebrating again the 130th anniversary as it relates to the Earth Day of Emperor Haile Selassie I, the Earth Day of the King of Kings. So again, this evening will be a webinar. This evening will not be a panel discussion. Previous Sunday, we had a very exciting panel discussion, if I do say so myself. And I know a lot of you would have learned a lot, and I got some comments outside of that. And in fact, since that time, the program was put on the YouTube, and of course, for all those who are coming in, please mute your mics for me. I understand it's not your fault. The system is set up like that. I don't know if there's some way that could be taken care of, but usually when you come into this, you have to be vigilant and mute your mics right away. It happens to me too, so I fully comprehend. But yeah, so we had a wonderful reasoning. Many ones clearly were not pleased with the expressions of some of our guests, and some felt that they were very personal. I must say, I was not the one on trial. Eh? It appears to me that some thought that I was on trial, like I was the one in question. No, I was just hosting the event. I wasn't even picking a side. I don't pick sides. The vibration was to continue the expression of knowledge and information so we all could have a better understanding really of where we're going as it relates to the whole vibration of the Bible. But anyway, as I said, I really wasn't on trial. And let me say now, I would not advise anybody to try to put me on trial. Even the previous program, I could not really address it in a way like if I had to defend myself on any subject, because that was not the situation of the evening. I was just hosting and moderating a discussion which most of us who are right-minded would think is a very important subject. Even if you have one philosophy or the other, it is an important subject. It is a reality. It is something that if you see it's a plague, it's plaguing us. So it is something that needs to be reasoned on for sure. So that will not be the vibes this evening. We are in celebration mode. What do you say? We are celebrating the 130th Earth Day of the King of Kings. All right. So why is it that we entitled this? And listen, we're going to cover a few things tonight. I'm going to try, as always, to make it swift. But I'm not going to seal until I think you get the point. So let us see how long it takes us to make sure that the point is made clear. Now, even as I speak, in the astronomical world, there is a mystic taking place in the heavens, where all those who are into astronomy are, paying attention to. And that is the close proximity of a specific comet coming out of the Oort cloud by the name of K2. Not the mountain K2, but this is C 2017 K2. And for those, of course, if the young ones are with me this evening from our astronomy class, they would know exactly what the Oort cloud is. That is like something similar to the Kepra belt, or if you understand how the asteroid belt that goes between Mars and Saturn, if you understand or comprehend what it looks like, the Oort belt is way behind these planets. In fact, Pluto goes in and out of the Oort belt, in a mystic fashion, in a mystic way. So anyway, out of that area of space, there are countless of comets, but it's only really when the comet now comes into contact with the energy of the sun that it creates this glare and this tail and this magnificent thing that we see going through the sky whenever we get a chance to see it. You can go out and look at the comet. It appears as if it's in the same spot night after night, but it's moving ever so slowly, but surely. Sometimes it's too far away. You may have to use binoculars or even a telescope. Sometimes it may be in a position that you could, at least pick it up if you know where it is in the heavens. All right, good. So this K2 now, what is so important about K2? That's its name. That we are not only highlighting it, but we are highlighting it on the birthday or the Earth Day of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Don't you think we should be more speaking about Emperor Haile Selassie I? We should be speaking of the fact that he was born 1892. I think maybe we should be more, delving into the meditation that he was born on the 23rd day of July. Hey, Ras, since you're talking about what's going on in the sky, didn't you know that the 23rd day of July is the beginning of the sign of Leo, which represents the lion? That is what you should be talking about. We will get to that soon. But the point is that, we speak of these things, not me personally, but as Rastafari, we speak of these things every time the Earth Day comes around, and in general. And this is history. This is something you can research and find for yourself. But this evening now, we want to connect certain vibration with a oneness, because we come to understand that the heavens declare the glory of God. And the heavens declare the glory of God. It goes on to say the firmament, which is the same heavens, show it the handiwork of the same God. Day unto day utter its speech, and night unto night show it knowledge. So there's a lot of speech taking place in the heavens. There's a lot of knowledge for us to consume taking place in the firmament. But who have eyes will see, and let him that have ear, let him hear what the heavens is saying. what the sky is revealing, what the firmament is teaching, the sun, moon, stars, planets. It doesn't matter what shape you think the earth is. We all see the same action. We all see the same maths. All right. You had to put that in for sure. So yes, we are celebrating Haile Selassie's Earth Day. Negusa Nagas. We give thanks for such royal one. You know, you can take this from the simple level. I mean, even the 23rd day of July in history, do you know that that day brought to an end a 7-year drought that was taking place in Abyssinia on the very day? Go and check the book of Joel chapter 2. In fact, check the whole book of Joel. It speaks about, in the end of chapter 1, about the animals in the pasture. I'm paraphrasing it. The ox and the sheep and whatever have you, crying out to the heavens because of lack of rain, because of little to eat. And then in the second chapter, it begins by saying, blow ye a trumpet in Zion. For the day of the Lord is at hand. A day of darkness, a day of thick clouds of the heavens, a day of plentiful rain. And how you know that is because the verse or the verses prior to that was showing you how dry the place was, how crisp, you know, the leaves on the trees were, the animals, the cattle, the sheep, whatever have you, its ribs, you see, skin and bones, things were rough. There was a drought in the land, according to Joel. And then Joel goes on to say, blow the trumpet of the Lord, for the day of Pharaoh is at hand. And then he describes the day. Now, you know, someone may want to argue and say, but listen, Ras, that didn't say that's the day that Selassie born. Well, I didn't expect it to say it like that. You know, when we're dealing with prophecy, we're dealing with allegory. Come on, we're dealing with the esoteric knowledge. You understand? Because in reality, if we didn't know, again, on that day brought to an end a 7-year drought in Ethiopia. And no regular shower can bring to an end 7 years of drought. Even if it was to rain for half of the morning, that cannot bring an end to 7 years of drought. So that means the sort of showers that came down on Ethiopia at the birth of Haile Selassie I had to be of a level, you know, flooding, you could imagine, you know, even landslides I would expect, lightning and thunder in the heavens. And this is the Ethiopian accounting. Ras Mokenen came out and prayed that evening, because you must keep in mind that Ras Mokenen and his wife, Wazirio Yeshimabet, give thanks. She actually had several children, 8 children before the king. And they all died. They all died at a very early age or in childbirth, and they all died. That's a serious thing. Now, this is not the Bible. This is reality. And so this is why Ras Mokenen would have been, you know, praying while the child was coming forth. This is what we have read. He went outside and prayed in the city of Harar. and Emperor Haile Selassie the first was born. Afterwards, his mother was pregnant again. And this time, that child died as well, and she died while giving birth to that child. As if to say, well, it's done now. Thanks very much. I know it sounds harsh, but the reality is, I don't think anyone can run around. Now, you may not believe Haile Selassie is, the Almighty I. But you know what has been said about him. You know how the Rastaman revere him. And from your listening to Priest Isaac, you know we have some facts as it relates to the divinity of him that you can't deny. So to me, it only adds to the mystic. And again, I'm not quoting Matthew, Mark, Luke, or Exodus. I'm quoting reality. It adds to the mystics of the reality that you had 8 siblings before you, 8 man, not 1 and 2 man. And none of them could have made it. And you made it. And then after you, another one came, and that one and the mother left the sea. They died. That's a mystic way to begin. All this time, 7 years of drought coming to an end. And yes, all this time, the beginning of of Leo in the zodiac. I don't want to sound offensive, but a lot of us say that, but do we understand what's happening? Why are we just repeating something we heard somewhere? All right. Because the zodiac, and anyway, we're getting to that. Of course, I'm going to take care of you and make sure you understand what that is all about. Because the sun is not in the Leo and was not in Leo at the birth of the emperor. What are you talking about? No, the sun was not in Leo at the birth of the emperor. Yeah, man. The sun was in the constellation of Cancer, which is considered to be the crab. The crab, yeah, the crab. The crab, the crab. Not the lion, not the lion. Oh, this is such a beautiful moment. Eh? So we understand who he is. Let's return to the book of Joel in the Bible. Because Joel as well continues to show you that, hey, that this man now is the same man that will gather all nations together. And I shall bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat. We're talking about the history of Negus Nogase. We all know that this is fulfilled when the King of Kings had to go and put a fire on the League of Nations in 1930 and 6 on the 30th day of June. And even prior to that, just the glorious coronation of the king. And again, fulfillment of prophecy and history. Because listen to me now. Whether one believe in Bible, whether one believe in Solomon, whether you believe in David, you must understand that this is the consensus of the planet. And you're telling me now that in the book of Acts it says that the Almighty, it talks about the sepulchre of David and says that the Almighty shall rise up Christ. This is what the book of Acts is saying, that the Almighty shall rise up Christ through the lineage of Solomon to sit upon the throne of David. Now, this is one of the simple scriptures that Rastafari held on to in the early time. Very simple. Nothing too hard, nothing too complicated. That Christ shall rise up in the lineage of Solomon to sit upon the throne of David. Now again, whether you believe in Christ, Solomon, or David, the reality is that Emperor Haile Selassie I would have fulfilled all of what has been said here. So the point is, reality, Haile Selassie, and of course his whole family, is of the lineage of Solomon, not him alone. Haile Selassie seated on the throne of David, not him alone. There were hundreds of kings prior to him that sat on that Davidic throne, even prior, as I said, to Haile Selassie. Okay, fair enough. Okay, but he shall be crowned King of Kings. That sounds good too. There were many kings of Ethiopia that were crowned King of Kings, even from King Izana. You know, they were crowned King of Kings and that's since the 4th century AD. Okay, fair enough. But he is the Lion of Judah. I agree, but so was Menelik II. And who else? That's basically about it. Because you have to remember that Menelik II, as you see, we're narrowing this thing down. Because somebody will tell you, yeah, the rain come when he born, but plenty of people born on the 23rd day of July. Thousands of people born on the 23rd day of July, 1892. In Ethiopia too. Okay, I understand. But how many of them is of the Solomonic lineage? And then how many of them of the Solomonic lineage sat on the Davidic throne? And then how many of those on the Davidic throne were King of Kings? All right, then of all those King of Kings, how many of them were Lion of Judah? And although Menelik II was the Lion of Judah, Menelik II was the one who instituted the Lion of Judah. We just recently did a program where we highlighted that, a Epidemic. And Menelik II was the individual who built that statue with the long lion's neck, a Epidemic. But Menelik II was not crowned the Lion of Judah. He brought it in while he was emperor. So Haile Selassie is the only emperor. Because the prophecies of Aman that was crowned that Lion of Judah. Follow it good. So I'm talking about straight to the point prophecy, straight to the point, aligning with history. And then of course, you know, we can go into the science of the ancient African mythology and show you exactly where it perfectly aligns itself with Emperor Haile Selassie. Let me repeat, we just did a program the other day about as it relates to Epidemic, the three-headed lion that wears the triple crown that leads us into war. How many of you saw that? That's Epidemic from the ancient, not even Kemetic, but the ancient Kushite writings. This is why I'm telling you, no family. Nobody can come and challenge me with them funny talking as if I am trialing a man. Trust me, eh? Believe me, even those who trashing Bible and bigging up Kemet, any one of you even that listening to me, even those of you who trashing Bible and bigging up Kemet, yet still, when it comes to unraveling the mystic of the same Kemet and putting it to Emperor Haile Selassie I, how far have you reached? I'm very serious. You're right, ones need to respect themselves and know who they're dealing with. You know what we're going to drop tonight? We just started. We don't play around with this, you know, man. It's a comet I'm talking about, you know. A comet. Comet. I'm going to link a comet and show you exactly how I am positive the comet has come to celebrate the Earth Day of Emperor Haile Selassie I with us. So as I said, you know, as it relates to the movements through the heavens, you know, even at this time, there's a specific comet by the name of C 2017 K2 upon stars, and you could even see it here. And this is the timing, the 17th of July, 2022. Now, for those who may not know that much about comets, they have their own orbit, they have their own time span. And as I said, they come from the deepest part of our solar system, not our galaxy, not the deepest part of space. They come from the deepest part of our solar system. We are clear with the language. You know, sometimes we just talk things off of our head and without clarity. So I want to be clear what I'm saying. And of course, they have their own orbit, just like you are seeing here. Just pardon me, as I said, for this session here. Okay, everything's blessed. Okay, good. Now, when we observe this, let me show you. This is basically, as I said, you could see from this site here, you actually can map and follow the comet as it is going through the solar system here. And according to what we have learned on the 14th day of July, that's just a few days ago, this comet was at its closest point to the Earth. All right, let me just read something here about this comet, K17. All right. It says here, many with small telescopes have already been watching this summer's best comet, C 2017 K2 Pan-STARRS. The comet is closest on July 14, 2022. Although it's not actually particularly close at 172 million miles away, but it's still at its closest point. Now this says here, as luck would have it, the July 13th full moon, supermoon, and the bright waning gibbous moons for a few nights were brightening the sky around now, but dark skies will come. So what this writer is just highlighting to you, when the comet was at its closest point to the planet, that's planet Earth, mystically at the very same time, we had what is known as a supermoon or a full moon at that time in the heavens. Very good. So what you're getting there is that the heavens is, you know, connecting with each other, basically, or the aspects of the heavens connected, really in order celebrated. All right, so the comet is at its closest point. That's a big thing. That's a big, big thing. And the moon is full at the same time. Well, that's a regular thing. It happens once a month. The comet coming close to the Earth like that doesn't happen once a month at all. And you might have to wait the next 20-something years to see, you know, the same comet twice. All right, good. But they just so happen to collide or coincide at this time. Like, for example, Haile Selassie's birthday, Earth Day this year, just mystically aligned itself with the Sabbath day. So the Sabbath day, a day of celebration itself, and Haile Selassie's Earth Day came on the same day this year. Obviously, that doesn't happen all the time, but it happened this year. Good, fair enough. So it says here, and When they do, observers at dark sky sites using small telescopes should be able to see Comet K2 as a fuzzy patch of light. It goes on to say the fuzziness is mostly the comet's gigantic outer atmosphere, or what is called the coma. A hint of the comet's tail might be visible, while long exposure images should reveal the comet and its tail in all of its glory. So you also have an idea here where you can see exactly where it is coming in. So what it does, as I said, it has its own orbit, and it comes into the solar system itself, and then goes around the sun, and then it disappears back into what is known as the Oort belt. Now at the Oort cloud, pardon me, then you have the Kepler belt as well, similar in their ways. Very good. So this is the as they say, the super comet for the summer season. And of course, it is outstanding. It has been really highlighted or discovered since 2017. So in other words, as they like to say, the scientists are still studying it to see exactly what other properties and all of that good jazz that they can get from it. Good, fair enough. All right, so just keep that in mind. And let me just add as well that this comet at the moment is in a specific constellation known as Ophiuchus. It is in what is known as the serpent holder. Now that's a very important point, for tonight, because the serpent holder represents something that is directly connected even to the constellation where the sun is going now, or where the sun is, which is the crab, which is Cancer. All right, very good. Now, I want to show you, even from another level, exactly what is taking place in the heavens during the time of the coming of the comet. Now, let me explain this to everyone as it relates to the sign of the astro guide. So when you say that today is the 23rd day of July, it is the beginning of the sign of Leo. All right, it sounds nice. It is the beginning of the sign of Leo. But how do you know that? What is it about the sign of Leo that begins today? Now, let me make it clear, and I don't want it to be complicated at all. So you understand the zodiac belt, pardon me, and the constellations in the zodiac belt. Now, you have, of course, Taurus, you have Gemini, you have Cancer, the crab, you have Leo, the lion, you have Virgo, the virgin, you have Scorpio, the scorpion, you have Sagittarius, the archer, you have Capricorn, the unicorn, which some people call goat. Those are some of the zodiac constellations. Those are constellations in what is known as the ecliptic belt, which is the pathway for the sun. Very important. Okay, good. Now, when someone says that they were born in a specific month, so they are Gemini, or they were born on a specific day, so they are Virgo, or they are Sagittarius, or they are Leo, or whatever the case is, they're just repeating something that they've learned. Most of us never took the time to scientifically check this out. This is why we have done several programs showing you that the idea, number one, you have to explain what that means. You have to keep in mind that what we are using today as the astro guide chart, the zodiac chart that we speak about is off at least 500 years. At least 500 years. So that means it's also off several degrees when it comes to the zodiac belt, when it comes to the astronomical clock. So seasons, zodiac seasons that you think may be beginning, for example, on the 23rd day of July, I'm just using that for as an example, may not be beginning on that day exactly because the astronomical clock is moving. Keep in mind that every 2,160 years, you have an age. You have the Pisces age, you have the Aquarius age, you have the age of Leo, you have the age of Taurus, and each of these ages last 2,160 years. So how does the age change? How do you know the age? This is, I don't want to go too far into this and make it another lecture, you know, because we have done this even right here on the Tiger's Temple. But in a summary fashion, wherever the sun is located on the 21st day of March, wherever the sun is on the 21st day of March, which is your vernal equinox, your spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, wherever the sun is, what constellation the sun dwells with on that day, that's the age that we are in. So on the 21st day of March, when you look to the east and you see the sun coming, the sun has as its backdrop the Pisces constellation. Even up to now, the sun has as its backdrop the Pisces constellation. You understand? So in other words, we are still predominantly in the Pisces age. Yes, we are moving towards the Aquarius age. We are feeding off of the Aquarius energy. Right now, we're feeding off of two ages. We're feeding off of the Pisces age, which we are coming out of, and we're feeding off of the Aquarius age, which we are going into. But we are still feeding off of more of the Pisces age. I can prove that. This is science, not belief, not tarot cards. We are feeding off of the Pisces age more than the Aquarius age, 65-35 as it relates to percentage. Very, very good. All right. So all of that is just to kind of get your mind understanding that, hey, this is a serious science when it comes to the zodiac belt. The astro guide. So when you say that you were born, for example, on the 23rd day of July, and on the 23rd day of July is the beginning of Leo. Now let us look at this. Look at right here. You can see it clear. This is the 23rd day of the 7th month. Now, if you notice, this is the constellation of Leo. Now, I just added the actual figures, but this is how it looks in the heavens. You know, a person may have to be trained to can figure out what is what here. In fact, this is also training wheels, because if you take out these lines, there you have, that's it. And then you may say, wow, what's going on here? But of course, this is the Greek rendition of what these objects are. So you have the crab here. So it's not necessarily a crab that looks like this in the heavens. This is just a drawing over the constellation, so you could know that this is the crab. This is Leo the lion. And this is the 23rd day of July. Okay, good. Now the idea is that, remember, you know, this the signs last for a month, from the 21st, 22nd, or 23rd of one month to the 21st of a next month is a whole sign. So Leo is going to last a month. So within a month, the sun will move from the crab and go towards Leo. It's just a natural thing. Watch it. Today is the 23rd or the 24th. Just watch it. See, as the days go by, the sun is moving, going all the way till it reaches to Leo, the constellation of Leo. It may not be center Leo there, but by the 23rd, 22nd of August, next month, the sun is in the constellation of Leo. And actually at this time, when the sun gets into Leo, that ends the cycle of Leo. And then Virgo begins. You know that. All right. Interesting, eh? Good. So when you observe this now, because this is the vibration I'm trying to show you, family. At the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the actual sign, the sun is not supposed to be in the sign. So at the beginning of Leo, this is very important, you know. I hope it's not weighing too heavy on your brain. It's a simple thing. At the beginning of the sign, so whatever sign you were born on, if you were born when the sign just begins, like the day it begins, the sun is not in the sign. But if you were born the day the sign ends, more than likely the sun is very close to the sign or actually in the sign. So let me show you again. We are in July. This is where we are in July, the 23rd, 24th. Today is the 24th, going into the 25th, 26th. Good. The sun is in Cancer. The sun is not in Leo. So when we say, because I hear people say this, that, hey, the 23rd day of July is the beginning of Leo, which is true. Yeah, man, the sun line up with Leo. You know, people just use terms, they hear so alignment and line up. So they just say the sun line up with Leo. Okay, good, fair enough. That may be true. But in what way? What do you mean when you say that? Because if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to big up Leo and forget about Cancer. Because when I tell even some of my brethren that, you know, really the sun not in Leo on the 23rd, no, the sun in Cancer, the man say, no, fat. The king ain't no crab. Fat. The lion. You know, read the Bible, the Lion of Judah. I said, no, hold on, take it easy. Take your time. I'm not lying to you. I didn't make it up. The sun is in Cancer. You're supposed to understand what it means. Not because the sun not in Leo mean you make a mistake. It's not supposed to be in Leo. That's the rule of the astro guide or the zodiac belt. So when you says it's the beginning of a sign, again, when a sign begins, the sun is not in the sign. The sun is in the sign prior to that sign, on its way to the sign that you consider the sign of the day. So let me repeat. Leo, the sign, has just begun. But the sun is not in Leo, the sign. But the sun is on its way to Leo. And when the sign of Leo comes to an end for the month, the sun will actually be in Leo. And then that will be the beginning of the sign of Virgo. Do you know when the sign of Virgo comes to an end? When the sun actually lodges inside the constellation of Virgo. So I'm just teaching you the academics. That's why this is the tiger's temple. You understand? Some people, I must say, I think some people mistook it for the emotional pool. This is where we talk facts. We don't talk feelings here, you know. And opinions, and I thought we bring it factually. So, now, I would understand if someone takes offense of trying to link Haile Selassie with a crab. Of course. Because the constellation of Cancer, as they call it, you think we will name a constellation Cancer? Just think about that. do you believe the Africans would pick an important constellation like the so-called crab and call it Cancer? This is beautiful. Yes, family, the constellation of Cancer, as some of you would have already known from previous reasonings that we would have done, the constellation of Cancer is Kepra. Now, Kepra, when we study again the zodiac belt in Dandara, now the earliest mapping of the zodiac belt was done in ancient Kemet. That's on the temple of Hathor in Dendara. And when you visit Dendara, I know the Honorable Empress Naya would have visited that as well and would have seen for herself that when you look at the walls, not on a picture now, in fact, she would have taken pictures, you would have seen the bull, you see Gemini. That's how we know Gemini is not two fellas. Well, we know it by looking at the heavens too. But then Gemini now, you see that is his shoe. That's how we know Gemini is shoe and Tefnut. Because in Dendara, Gemini is seen as a man and a woman, shoe and Tefnut. You know, just after the bull, right there on the walls. And what is after them? The crab. Because after Gemini is Cancer. And what is representing the crab? There ain't no crab on Dendara walls or on the ceiling. I don't see no crab. Maybe I need to look at it again. I must say I see some things I don't figure out yet. But the zodiac belt is very clear. All the great Asa is Orion. The zodiac belt is very clear. What do they have for Cancer? What do they have in the place of the crab? Kepra. So who you're going to trust? The people them that tell you that Capricorn, that Cancer is a crab, and even that Capricorn is an ancient unicorn, and some other things, and they're the ones that tell you Gemini is two little boys. The same people that tell you Gemini is two little boys is the same people that tell you Cancer is a crab. Well, maybe Cancer is a crab, but Kepra is the beetle. So those of you who are of the sign of Cancer, you are really of the sign of Kepra. And if I'm not mistaken, Cancer would begin about the 22nd day of June. But at that time, the sun is not in Cancer. The sun is in Gemini. The sun is coming out of Gemini on its way to Cancer. I wonder if you understand that. That's very important. So a person that's born at the beginning of a sign, say you born the 23rd day of July, or even a day like today, the 24th, 25th day of July. Say you born the 25th day of July, when the sign just began. You're still feeding off of the sign prior. A person that's born the 19th of August, which is at the other end of the sign, when the sun is actually going into the sign, they have to have a different energy than you. So for you to just read one sign and say, oh, you people, you Cancer people are very stubborn, that cannot be. When one Cancer person is born a whole month away from the other Cancer person. In fact, you may be Cancer and the person born the day before you is Gemini. And you're telling me that you and that person, you know, don't have nothing in common when compared to you and some other Cancer that's born way at the end of the month. And that Cancer way at the end of the month is a day away from a Leo. I'm not trying to complicate you. I know a lot of us are into this thing. Like, no. Scorpions and Virgos don't go together and this kind of stuff. I don't know who teach you this stuff, but I know a lot of us in it. And even if there's a reality, because of course, you know, vibration and stars and planets and where the sun is at a time does have a energy and a frequency, or else I wouldn't be going through all of this. But we have taken it like as if it's Kool-Aid. It's pure artificial now for us. It's not natural. It's just let's put on the news and hear what's the horoscope today. That's why I call it a horrible scope, because it's an astro misguide. Number one, the science is not in it. And the dates and everything are all confused because the heavens is alive, but the astro guide is dead. So the heavens is growing, the heavens is moving, the astro guide is still on the same spot. So we are like at least 7 or 8 days off too when it comes to the different signs. Some people say they're of this sign and they're in a totally different sign because the time is moving. Remember, the sun moves 1 degree every 72 years. So in 720 years, the sun would have gone 10 degrees. A sign is 30 degrees. So the sun would have gone 10 degrees into another sign. So we're 10 degrees off. Mathematics, you know, it's compass and squares and protractors and geometry set I'm talking about here, family. So what does Kepra represent? And how Kepra get into this conversation? Well, number one, Kepra is one of the creational, I'll use the term for the moment, gods of Kemet. As you can see, Kepra is rolling Ra. You see Kepra with his wonderful, beautiful wings. And you know, in reality, the beetle here is the scarab beetle, is also called the what? The dung beetle, where the scarab beetle will collect the dung from the desert or wherever it is and roll it across the sand. And after a moment, young ones would come out of the ball that the scarab would have rolled across the sand. And this is why you can see now the scarab used as a symbol of creation, rolling the sun across the heavens. And that's why Kepra is seen as a chief creation deity or chief creation god or Neter seen in the creation story. All right. Now, so this bug, not a crab, but this bug here is the symbol that we see in the heavens. The ancient ones would have already told us that Kepra is where the sun is on the 23rd day of July. So again, of course, Haile Selassie I is well aligned with the Leo constellation because the sun is on its way to the Leo constellation. I'm not taking that away. But when the king was born, the sun was not inside of Leo. Where is the beginning of the sign of Leo or not? It is, and that has its own energy, but the sun not being in Leo has its energy too. Because at the end of the sign of Leo, the sun is in Leo, but at the beginning of the sign of Leo, the sun is not in Leo. The sun is in Kepra. Okay, I think we get that by now. Good. So there's something special about Leo, right? Why we link it to the king. Yeah, the Bible says the Lion of Judah shall, you know, prevail. Okay. Even you, priest, you did a program, as you just said, on a petty neck. Yes, the lion-headed God. And, you know, every lion, the king have bowed down to him. And okay, yeah, so we see the link with the king and the lion. So what about a link with the king and Kepra? Is there a link with the king and Kepra. The beetle. Kepra is the symbol of resurrection. All right, family. I'm going to carry this somewhere here, and you're going to have to be able to understand things on an esoteric level, or else it may not go over your head, but you may get into disagreement mode. Because we thrive on the mystics. I'm telling you straight, we thrive on the mystics. And I know I can prove to you how the king is directly connected to Kepra. And this is very important. And remember what we're really talking about, you know. K2, the comet. All right. I want to read something here from Isaiah 53. This is the book of Isaiah 53. Let me just make sure everything is being shared. And it says here, who shall believe our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when he shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire here. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs, and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearer is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? Question. He was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him, for he had put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, I will repeat, when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. This is Isaiah 53. And Isaiah, I want you to chime in, good family. Isaiah is known as the Messianic prophet. Not Masonic prophet, no, not Mason, Mosiah. Isaiah is considered the messianic prophet. Why? Because his expression is strongly related to the coming of Christ. If you study Isaiah well, the word Emmanuel is mentioned in the Bible 3 times. 2 of those times are seen in Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14 and Isaiah chapter 8 verse 8. Key numbers, 8 and 8, there are 88 constellations in the heavens. 80 and 8 heavy. Gilbert hit Jamaica and licked the 88, 1988. And Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14, 7:14, cycle of life, the cycle of the moon, 7:14, 21, 28, cycle of the woman. So Emmanuel is mentioned twice in the Old Testament, both times in Isaiah. And it's mentioned once in the New Testament in the book of Matthew 1:23, 1, 2, 3. So it's mentioned 3 times, the term Emmanuel. It's mentioned 3 times in the Bible. 7:14 Isaiah, 8 verse 8 Isaiah, and Matthew 1, 2, 3. Remember, the Bible full of some mystic codes, you know. That what I just explained is kindergarten compared to some of the dramatic codes the Bible have in it. Yeah. Enough drama. Reality. So I'm showing you now that Isaiah, in his writings, and if you notice, Isaiah is not a simple person. There's a book called The Ascension of Isaiah. Some people consider Isaiah never died. He ascended like Enoch and Elijah and these ones. And what is interesting is that Isaiah now, which is Isaiah, when we use Isaiah's name and Elias' name and we scramble it, remember, you get Haile, Selassie. All right. You didn't know that? We did a video on that on YouTube. Just check it out. Okay, fair enough. So it begins by saying, who shall believe our report? This chapter, Isaiah 53. This chapter, Isaiah 53, is speaking of the Messiah, but this chapter is different levels. I am telling you, it's also speaking about the ganja, marijuana, cannabis. Now, I'm sure that those of you who are here watching this that will say, come on, priest, I don't believe that. Well, that means you've never listened to any one of our Holy Grail episodes. This is one of the chapters we go for when we're talking about the ancient chalice and the marijuana and how it relates to biblical expression. Remember the marijuana, which we call the holy herb, the sacred herb, the tree of life, is symbolic of the Christ. Let me say this again. The tree of life in metaphysics, the tree of life in metaphysics. And remember, you can get a copy of this video after tonight because this is not something to hear one time. Because if you're listening properly, you would have noticed we have touched several different subjects already. And at the end of the night, everything's supposed to wrap up into one. So if you don't know the outcome, you may actually think we either gone off topic or we talking about something else. The comet, and we glorifying the King's Earth Day. So yeah, the tree of life not the marijuana now or any tree, not the moringa for sure, or any tree, no disrespect to the moringa, but the tree of life meditational system, the tree of life when it comes to the metaphysics understanding of the tree of life is actually a man. The tree of life is the Messiah. Let me repeat. The tree of life represents the Messiah. And it's not period, full stop, absolute, because the tree of life also represents a meditational system of which the Messiah must be versed in. And the tree of life also is a tree. The fact that you use the term the tree of life, that means there must be a tree amongst all the trees on the planet. That is the symbol, at least, of the tree of life meditational system and the tree of life, the Messiah. And the tree is the tree of life, the cannabis. Now, we understand that the whole science of, if it's a science, well, it is a science of psychologically, because that's a science, mind bending us for us to hate the holy herb, reefer madness they put on us. So after reefer madness, we are living in a time when we realize now, doctors are telling you that the brain naturally has THC receptors. Now tell me, in fact, on the Tiger's Nest on Radio Anu, this coming strong, we'll be talking about some of that, going into marijuana and its medical properties as it relates to handling certain sicknesses and psychological problems that many ones face. So we'll be getting into that more. But the point is, the doctors now, the neurologists are telling you that the brain has THC receptors. Now here it is. THC receptors are all over the body. Remember, this is the devil's plant, you know, weed, pot, all sort of derogatory names they gave to the tree of life. What a special plant. The plant that opens the heavens and open the portals. Man, when you tune into the Tiger's Nest, this strong. I don't know if we're going to do the program Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever, but just tune into the Tiger's Nest. In fact, better yet, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the Tiger's Nest, and for sure you wouldn't miss that program. So the receptors for the THC, which of course is that active ingredient in the plant, the THC, the tetrahydrocannabinol, and also even CBD. We have receptors for that in the body too, any which way they want to go. So what I'm saying, your body, your goody, your anatomy was made to receive. That's what a receptor is, you know, to receive. You are made to receive the components of the tree of life. So that means the whole thing about making it illegal and locking you up for it is a big sham. Wickedness, not sham. Sham sound nice. Wickedness on the earth. So that tree, the marijuana, I know some people don't like that term, but it's Mary Jane, and it has high scientific and esoteric understanding. Mary Jane, man, the wife of Christ. Spider-Man wife named Mary Jane, you know. Of course, as I said, these different levels. You see who Spider-Man wife is? Mary Jane. Spider-Man, man, the spider, the grid of the earth. Oof. Wow, wow, wow. So the tree of life represents Osiris. Osiris, that's why you see Osiris green. And of course, the cannabis, cannabis. You see Popeye eating his spinach through his pipe, man. The cannabis, which is the thought. The ibis bird is the thought, eh? The thought. Do you know thought? Tahuti, Jahuti is an ibis bird. Okay. The wisdom of thought. That is why thought's wife, which is Shishat. You know Shishat. That's the wife of thought. That's the wife of Tahuti, ancient Kemet. Shishat has the ganja leaf over her head. The wife of thought. And thought, she's his librarian and he is the scribe. The ibis bird. Cannabis. The thought. That's where the word thought comes from. He's the god of wisdom. Cannabis. That's why Papa eat his spinach out of a can and put it in his pipe. So the can in the ibis. They're trying to can the ibis. Cannabis, marijuana, Mary Jade. It's the tree of life. And the tree of life is more than just a plant. But it just so happened that that plant now with its psychoactive properties, hallucinogen, nothing wrong with that. It's reefer madness, make you think that you're dealing with rum or vodka or some crap. This is natural. They have many different plants, you know. What about your ayahuasca? Some people deal with the mushroom, the blue lotus, you know. And even a lot of these people that deal with mushroom, blue lotus, and ayahuasca, you know, they're afraid to talk about marijuana because it was illegal or is illegal or whatever it is where you are. But that is the safest, the cleanest, the purest hallucinogen that they have. That is the hallucinogen. That is nature's hallucinogen. Where? The tree of life. But the tree of life, the system, the man, and the plant are one. The plant represents the man. That's why Rasta man deal with the tree of life. That's why the rat didn't see the tree was illegal. They lock you up with it. They lock up you on the tree now. Because the tree represents the Rasta man. The tree represents Christ. How much tree they deal with like that? How many trees? Even the poppy and the other stuff that make other stuff is heroin, whatever it is there that they make in Afghanistan. They don't deal with none of these plants like how they brutalize and molest the marijuana internationally. Every 58 seconds, somebody get locked up for heroin, even in this decriminalized time. Eh? Every minute on the minute, you don't know how much minutes we here tonight. So far, that's the amount of people in jail now. Just pull up in front of the precinct. And most people that are arrested for marijuana is on possession, not on trafficking, just having it. Not intending to sell, you know. I mean, all of these people get into, you know, but the majority is somebody with a little bag in the pocket. Bag of herb, I mean, in their pocket. So the tree of life, that is why you see again, she shot as the tree and the leaf above her head. That's why you see some of the gods talking to the tree. That's why in ancient meditation, you see the man rooted in the earth like a tree. Even our locks, we call it roots, like the tree. So that's why when you partake of the tree of life, it's a different meds. You open the heavens. All of you that are ganja smoking know what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about the chalice too, not no spliff. The chalice is, it's the required order of Christ. He says, the wine and the bread. The wine and the bread. Do this in remembrance of me. When you partake and, you know, the water turns to wine, the water turns to blood, the blood of the plant, which is chlorophyll. So it's not no ox, not no sheep, or no lamb. And when he broke the bread, it was in symbolism of the lamb that they used to slaughter. Lamb and bread, it's the lamb's bread. This is actually a different reasoning that I can go deeper in, but I'm just giving you a quick snippet to fit it in. to this conversation properly. Now, I say all that to say, who shall believe, or who hath believed our report? Isaiah. And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall go up before him as a tender plant. That's an interesting example used. As a tender plant. And as a plant and root, out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire. Now we have to keep in mind it. Remember, Christ was seen as the root of David, the stem of Jesse, the seed of Jacob, and all of that, root and stem and seed and all of that. That is a tree. That is why Christ is seen as the tree of life. And as I said, let me repeat one more time so you don't mix me up. Interestingly, the tree of life is not first a tree. It's a system. And the system represents a man going to come that can keep that tree of life system in perfection. And if it's called the tree of life, it just only makes sense that there must be a tree on the planet. That if you don't want to say it's the tree of life, it is the symbol of the system known as the tree of life, and that is the marijuana tree. The herb. The herb. Okay, good. Let's move on. Let's move on. What is the context of Isaiah 53 now? Differently than the herb talk and the plant, what is the context of Isaiah 53? Isaiah 53 speaks of what? The suffering and grieving Messiah. Anybody that deals with prophecy and history, any Christian can tell you, Isaiah 53 is the suffering Messiah. That's why it says here, he was brought like a lamb, to the slaughter, as a sheep to the shearer is dumb. So he opened not his mouth. All of that is key. So this is talking about the Messiah and the sufferation of the Messiah. Now, of course, when you say that, most ones are going to think about Christ and crucifixion and cross and etc., etc. But this is just an allegory. This is symbolism, This is symbolism, and and the thing with symbolism, we must understand, the thing with allegory, when the allegory becomes history, it doesn't have to be one historical event. It could be several historical events over several ages. Yeah, that's why in every age you have a Messiah that go through the same prophecy. So the prophecy that fit Moses can fit a Christ and can fit the Christ in this time, because it's the same prophecy, the same movements of the heavens going through. So this man of sorrow here was taken like a lamb to the slaughter, and according to this, he opened not up his mouth. Now, as it relates to Emperor Haile Selassie I, we already know who Haile Selassie is. Nobody can come and try to fight that away from us. We know that the King of Kings, is just that, the King of Kings. Now, can we point out in the history of Emperor Haile Selassie I a moment where we could say that he was brought like even a lamb by its shearer, where he uttered not a word and he was taken away, let's just say, from his domain. Now, I would believe ones would highlight, I want you to listen to me good, I would believe ones would highlight the war with Mussolini in 1930 and 6, when we all know that the emperor went on a diplomatic mission, which ones like to call going to exile. And of course, we know he appeared before the League of Nations and he crushed the League of Nations, and of course returned to Ethiopia. Now, that's a very serious thing that the emperor went through there. That's not nothing simple or nothing easy. And I consider that very symbolic of the crucifixion. Why? Because number one, we're dealing with the 5 bleeding wounds that the emperor had to bear. Which bleeding wounds? It's symbolic. It's symbolic. Remember, the scripture, not just the Bible now, speaks of Christ bearing these 5 wounds. You understand? And we already showed you that Haile Selassie represents Osiris Asa from just the whole story. So when it reaches to that point, Osiris also went into the underworld for 5 years. Osiris specifically maybe not bear 5 bleeding wounds, but symbolically going into the underworld for 5 years and coming up with the 5-point stars. You can see it on his back. So Haile Selassie I, as we all know, went into the underworld for exactly 5 years. It was on the 5th of May, 1936, that he came off of the throne, and he took back up the throne on the 5th of May, 1941. Exactly 5 years apart, the 5th day and the 5th month. All of that is just symbolism, so you can pick up what's going on in reality. You understand? So Haile Selassie I, of course, symbolized that. So that is a very grievous moment for the king. We have done programs where we highlight that video, The Footsteps of the Emperor. And we show you clearly that the emperor's position going through what they call exile was a position of a man of sorrows, like Sade sings in that song, man of sorrow. That is he, you know, the king of sorrows. Give thanks. You've been listening to some Sade, man. Yeah, the king, the king of sorrows. You understand? That is him. Because, you know, we can look at it simple and, you know, like if, like, you know, like this is not no leader running from his country to get away from no trouble. You know. The emperor left Ethiopia on a diplomatic level as Atlas, with his people on his back, with the world on his back. He didn't go to give up, he didn't go to lay down, he went to return. He left to return. And he did return and conquered the wicked. You know, Haile Selassie I we're talking about. So that is clear, that is history. Nobody can run from that. But now, in 1974, on the 12th day of September, another event took place. In 1960, there was an attempted coup. We spoke about that not too long ago on the YouTube when we were speaking about ARCHAEOASTRONOMY. But in 1974, the military derg found its way, and on that morning, they entered the palace, and let's just say they escorted the emperor out. Now, this is the picture here. Now, those of you who are Rastafari, like myself, and well, I don't know if you're a Rasta like myself, but you know what I mean, like we all Rastafari. Now, of course, you may know the history. The emperor is not someone that anybody has abused. That's interesting, eh? Nobody beat up the emperor and so, you know. Even here, for those of you who've seen the video, when they came for the emperor, and I really hope, you know, the family can bear with the tiger, you know, because I really want you to understand where I'm going here. All right. When they came for the emperor was in his office with Ras Imru. And Ras Imru, as I always say, Ras Imru was there from the beginning, and Ras Imru was there at the last day. We have a lecture to do on Ras Imru soon. I might do it on the 10th. And they came, if you see the video, the man was shaking to read the thing with the umbrella. They were afraid. That's the emperor, you know, that's Haile Selassie, you know, the oldest man in the room. That's the God, eh? Them fellas were like, wow. The elder man, the elder, when the king trampled Mussolini, them fellas wasn't even born. They know that. And they read a paper asking the emperor for permission to take him to somewhere for his safety. And the emperor gave them a little speech. And although I cannot give it to you word for word, but he clearly showed them, while we were king of kings, and paraphrasing, we did what we had to do specifically to ensure that the army and our military were well taken care of. And of course, the country as a whole, that's the emperor. And then he went on to say, but if the time comes that the people believe that they need new leadership or a new direction, well, so it be. And then his last words were, we will stop here. Anybody that know that, right? Imagine that. That's the last words the emperor speak to the world. You know? We will stop here. Wow. Hey, listen, that shows power. As if, all right, I'll stop here. Because you can't stop me, you know, man. Even on the earthly level, the emperor could have crushed that. Some of his own family members and minister was begging him to crush that because they already knew it was coming way in advance. And the emperor even told a reporter, according to the book The Mission by Hans Lockhart, the emperor told a reporter that if something similar to what I said here, what he said when they came for him, that all his life he has been working for Ethiopia. But if they're tired of him, paraphrasing again, well, this is their choice. They say when they were leading the emperor out, all these fellas here, the guard that was walking with him that had his gun pointed at the emperor looked at him and tell him that you are holding the gun incorrectly. And the man straightened up the gun and fix it up the way that the emperor showed him. When they came to the picture that you're looking at on the screen, this is where they put the God in the Volkswagen before they carried him to house arrest. And of course, as you know, within a year or so, little less than a year, he disappeared, and that's it. We don't know where he is, nothing. You can say what you want, that's up to you. I say he disappeared, and we don't know where he is. If you can prove otherwise, let me see. Now, give me a funeral picture now. Oh, but anyway, I'm going to tell me no lie. If you're going to bring forensic report for me, don't come tell me what CNN say. Good. The king asked them if it's this he's supposed to go in. Now, this is a bug. Where? No, the car is a bug. It's called a bug. It's a Volkswagen. Volkswagen. They call it a bug. So this bug or Volkswagen, you know, the emperor is Rolls Royce, the emperor moving in a double R. Rolls Royce and the other thing there, Mercedes Benz. You could bring some Volkswagen, and Volkswagens were very popular in Ethiopia. You look at any old Ethiopian video in the 80s, 70s, you know, you see a lot of Volkswagens. but not for the king. The king have the bending and coupe up in that thing there, and the engine in the back, and not the back, the back, the engine in the back, Volkswagen. Anyway, so the king, the emperor, of course, entered the Volkswagen, and they took him to a safe place. And the rest is history, you know. Okay, now family, hear me now. Let me say this again. Where I'm going to go, I'm positive some, even those who check for the King Divinity, might think that I'm leaning over the edge just a bit with this one. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Now, this is Herbie. I'm really jumping from subject to subject, ain't I? What happened to the comet? Weren't we talking about Cancer? So you forget about the dung beetle Kepra? Where are we going here? Well, just keep on the trade and you'll see where we're going. When you're going from one place to the other, you're driving from Tokyo to Fujinishi. I just made up that. It's enough different towns you pass on the way. You see rivers, you see lakes, you see swamps, you see mountains. So you're getting different views. But when we reach to where we're going, you will see, okay, I see why we walked that way. So when I was young, I used to watch Herbie. Beep, beep. Herbie was a living car. I never seen nothing like this. Herbie, no man, this here, for those of you who are quote unquote too young to know, Herbie was an icon in the TV world. This is a race car that nobody could beat. A little Volkswagen, you know, a bug, also known as a beetle, Herbie. Number 53. Herbie. Herbie, eh? I wonder why they call him Herbie. Because you see the thing with Herbie now, although Herbie is a car, Herbie is from the hippie age. Eh? Herbie is from the hippie environment. Remember Scooby-Doo and Shaggy-Doo? No, Shaggy ain't no Doo. What's his name?
Shaggy Rogers.
You know all that? Wait, you know easy. Hey, Shaggy Rogers. Anyway, so Shaggy and Scooby. Remember Shaggy, Scooby, and Velma and Fred and them. Those are hippies. Look at this, the mystery machine, the bus. Look at the flowers on it. Those are the same flowers the hippies just put in their head. Look at Shaggy. Shaggy, that's why they call him Shaggy. And his little goatee beard and his little, you know, unkempt hair. They're hippies. They smoke. That is why Scooby and Shaggy are always in the back of the bus. And they're always hungry. Remember, listen, family. This is Priest Isaac you're talking to. Right? Sometimes I don't want to sound funny. When you're listening to me, you have to remember it's me. It's me. Remember, we're the one that brought fairy tale folly days and nursery crimes to the front line on a level that I don't think many ones even thought about. How we break down Batman from Robert the Bruce and show that Batman and Hulk is the same being. And let me repeat it. We didn't get that from no second hand, you know. We sit down and burn chalice and talk to Haile Selassie. And the man opened the heavens and say, let me show you what them fellas doing, you know. Let me show you who the Smurfs really are, you know. I said, what is this? This is what's going on. Let me show you about, you know what I mean, who Bugs Bunny really. Let me show you about Bugs Bunny soft. Give me something else big that we unwrap. You know, something, whatever it is, the same Spider-Man, the same, like I all them things we unravel not come into mind, man. Give me something else we unravel, man. Okay. But anyway, the point I'm making is we understand that the entertainment business, fairy tale folly days and nursery crimes is all about the manipulation of the mind. Yeah. With understanding, as I said, Batman and Hulk is the same. Robert Bruce Banner. You understand? The Knights of the Templars and all of these things. So you have to keep in mind that these fellas are on the game. They're on the board. I'm telling you, Shaggy and Scooby burn her. You don't have to see it. Like how Popeye have his pipe and he suck the herb to the pipe. Okay, you see that and you work it out. You don't see Shaggy and Scooby burning nothing. But they're always hungry. And they're always in the back of the bus. I remember they have this episode behind their coffin too, you know. I said, well, at the time as a child, I didn't really pick it up, but now I reflect on it. I said, hey, and you all right behind there, Shaggy? Yeah, we're choking on something here. I said, yeah, hear that? Well, as I said, at the time, I wouldn't pick it up, but now when I look back, I say, yeah. So I'm saying all of that, you know, to get back now to the point that it is no mistake that this car is called Herbie. I want you to follow me good, eh? Herbie, number 53. I just read to you from Isaiah 53. So what you try to tell me, priest? You want me to sit here and listen to you? If you're lucky in a charge for coming here tonight. Okay, I don't want my money back. You mean to tell me you trying to link this car here now with something in the Bible and something Isaiah say? Well, remember, we don't deal with spookism here. It's Haile Selassie we deal with. Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie the first. So, let me show you something. Do you know the most famous dog? No, it's not Rin Tin Tin. Who? Spud McKenzie. Well, last year hear about Spud McKenzie. No. Lassie. 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 You think it's a joke? Remember God. You know who is God, eh? Haile Selassie. Remember God is dog spelled back whale. You take God and turn it around, you get dog. You think it's by mistake that the wicked world take the most famous dog and call the dog Lassie. Just take the S, they can't call the dog Selassie. So they take the S-E off of the Lassie and call the dog Lassie. Because a dog. Dog turnaround is God. The next dog, Pluto. That's the planet Pluto. That they say is not a planet anymore. The 9th planet. Remember the amount of children that the king had, his mother had before him, the 8th. And he come out the 9th, necessarily the 9th then. Pluto is the 9th planet. And Pluto was discovered when the king got crowned. Pluto is a next dog. Dog is God spelled back with Lassie. It's called, not etymology, anagram kind of thing. So I'm showing you all of this to show you, my conclusion ain't no mistake. It's not me make it up, you know, it's they make it up. I'm showing it to you. I just explained that Isaiah 53 is also speaking about the tree of life. Because Isaiah 53, first and foremost, is speaking about the suffering Messiah. I agree. Isaiah 53 is talking about the Christ. I agree. But Isaiah 53 also within it has the components of the tree of life. The tree of life is Christ. The tree of life is not a tree. Let me say it like that so you don't get lost. The tree of life is not a tree. It's Christ. The tree of life is a system of meditation. And the fact that it's called the tree of life, that means there is a tree that is symbolic to it. And the tree that is symbolic to it is more than symbolic. It's a powerful tree. It's the ganja tree. Yeah, the herb. The herb. So if you see Haile Selassie as who he is, this event cannot go down simple. This is the last time the king interact with us, you know, when they took him away in the beetle, when they took him away in the bug. Isaiah 53 clearly shows you he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquity. I like when it says, with his stripes, we are healed. We don't understand that. With the stripes, nobody had to go on no cross. Just what the emperor go through in his steps with us. His grief, his sorrows. All of that he go through, you know. This is the Almighty put on flesh, you know. In a sense, he didn't have to do it. To come amongst us to give us salvation. And have to be snubbed and crucified by a wicked world. And with his stripes, the stripes that he get when they whip him on his back, in all symbolism, with his stripes, we are healed. It's some deep, deep stuff. That's why when you see we cut up the herb to burn it, just like how they cut Osiris into 14 pieces or 16 pieces, it's the same thing. So when you burn the herb, that's why he says in the books of the gospel that when you partake of the chalice, do it in remembrance, meditation, do it in remembrance of me. Remember me when you partake of this. Wow. So the fact that the king is going into the bog, it says here, all we like sheep has gone astray. It showed you that he was led. He's a man of sorrow, and he was led like a lamb by his shearer to the slaughter, and he opened not his mouth. Do you know, after the king said what he said there, we will stop here. The king never talked to nobody again. For that whole year, they have the king in house arrest. All man come with video camera and trying to talk to the king, and the king just there reading, well dressed like before. Nobody even lay their hand on the king, because this is not the lamb to the slaughter now. This is the conquering lion that is here. But yet still, even though he's not the lamb to the slaughter, he still go through the process of the prophecy. And he was led away to prison. Look at here. He was led away to prison. Nobody hit him, but with his stripes, we are still healed. The same man that grew up like a plant amongst us, the root of David, the stem of Jesse, the seed of Jacob, that's him there. Being put into the beetle. Being put into the beetle. This is symbolic of his end. Remember you said that when he was born, it was the beginning of the sign of the lion. Well, the last time the world see him, he was going into the beetle. Now, when Haile Selassie was born, because Haile Selassie is the son, not S-O-N, the S-U-N too. When he was born, the sun was going into the beetle. I just showed you it a while ago. I'll show you again. Just hold on. When Haile Selassie was born, the sun wasn't going into no lion. The sun was going into the beetle. The sun was going into Kepra. The bug. Not a crab. Not cancer. Kepra, the dung beetle or the scarabback. That's looking here with the sun. And that is where the sun was going when the king was born. The beginning of what? The sign of what? Leo. Because the sun is now on its way to Leo, but it's in the beetle. when he was born. When they came and they took him from the palace to carry him to prison, he was led like a lamb by shearer, and he opened not his mouth. What did they put him in? What did they put the son in when they came for him? When they brought the monarchy to an end, what did they put the son in? They put him in a beetle. This is how the story came to an end, you know. Listen, it's not just like I picked some random day out of the king life where he went into a Volkswagen, you know. This is the last day. This is my point. This is aligning with the prophecy of Isaiah, the suffering Messiah, who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed. Look it here. Have you believed the report? He was led away. Isaiah is talking about the demise or the coming to the end of the Christ that was crucified. Nobody crucified the king. But in all symbolism, this is how it came to an end. So this event is aligned with the Messianic prophets, chapter 53, Isaiah 53, the suffering Messiah. That's what they call Isaiah 53, you know, the suffering Messiah. His last moments, his last days, Isaiah 53. And as you can see, this is the fulfillment of Isaiah 53. And as you can see, he going into the bug, he going into the beetle. Okay. Now, he's going into a Volkswagen. Haile Selassie going into the Volkswagen. And he asked them if this is what you're going to put me in. Now, I'm going to ask you one more time. Well, I didn't ask you this yet, but let me ask you now. You should know the answer. Which Volkswagen is the most famous Volkswagen in the world? Number 53. Don't play with me, eh? Do not play with me. There's nobody on earth that could stop us from worshiping Haile Selassie the first. Now, no praises, you know. Kneel down and pray too. I don't care who you are. Whether you believe in Bible or not, that's your business. These wicked people, just like how they take a dog and be saying Lassie, they know what they're doing. They don't play with them people there. So what you may deny, maybe because it's coming from me. Them people way ahead of you. Because this car, Herbie, is a living Volkswagen. It's alive. Nobody can outrun number 53, Herbie. Isaiah 53 speaks about the man that shall grow up like a plant. What plant? The root of David. What root? The stem. He is the tree of life. Which tree? Herbie. Because he was led into captivity. He was led into prison, and he went like a sheep dumb before its shearer. How did they lead him? They put him in a Volkswagen, in a beetle. The sun going into the beetle, not the crab, because the beetle is Kepra. So Haile Selassie now, in the midst of all of this here, what I put in together, is just to show you that Haile Selassie is Kepra. And even if we don't know it, they know it. Even if we don't understand it, they understand. Even if we deny it, they're happy we deny it. Because this is just subliminal messages flashing before our eyes. We'll never pick it up unless a teacher comes and unravels it to us. Now, you can't deny the power of Herbie. You know? They're not going to call this car Herbie just for style. And for a car to be moving like that, it have to be smoking something. No, no car can act like that unless they're unheard. You understand? Because that's the symbol. Number 53 is Isaiah 53, the suffering Messiah that went into captivity. Isaiah 53, Herbie, the bug, Kepra, the constellation of the crab. Done, Todd. But how are you going to done when we talk about the comet yet? That's all right. Yeah. Now, this is a site here where you could track the comet K2. I see somebody in the chat say getting deep. Not yet. We're getting deep soon. Just give me a few more moments. We're going to start to get deep soon. Hey, Prince Emmanuel once said, a man shall come. A man shall come that can read the stars. Can I get this in full screen? All right, anyway. What you're looking at here, this is the constellation of Ophiuchus. And no, when I press this, I get something else I don't want to see. But this is the constellation of Ophiuchus. And Ophiuchus is known as the serpent ruler. Now, as you can see, at the moment, the comet. Now he cometh. Now he cometh. Haile Comet. You ever hear about Haile Comet? They have a comet named Haile Comet. Never hear about Haile's Comet? Haile Comet. Now he cometh. We sing that hymn, Bobo Shanti, to make of his jewels. Now he cometh. Yeah, man. But anyway, let's stick to the academics. Not, man might say that's pseudo. Let's stick to the academics. Academically, if you were to look for the comet K2, like, of course, as I said, this is how it looks, you know, from outer space as such. See how close is it is to our sphere, to the Earth? Okay, that's where it is now before it goes way back out into that unknown region of the Oort belt. Good. Now, you can see where it was at different times of the month. Look at here, November, December last year. So it was taking its time coming into the atmosphere. So I'm showing you, family, as it was coming through. This is the end of last year, coming into this year. February, March, April, May, June, July. On the 14th day of July was when it was closest to the Earth. So from the 14th day of July, and that same time was the supermoon. The same time that was closest to the Earth was the supermoon. And that was the same time that the sun was going into Kepra. All right, please follow me, family. Just listen to me good. The same time is now you're supposed to keep in mind all that we done say already, right? Now everything coming together. We soon done. The same time that the comet was closest to the Earth was the same time that the moon was full. It was the supermoon. And that was the same time that the sun was entering into the crab. Cancer, which we done show you, is number 53 Herbie, the Volkswagen. It's Kepra. It's Kepra. I hope you can take a joke because that one will mix you up. It's Kepra, the dung beetle. All right, good. Just keeping all of that in mind. So this is how it's looking around this time. This is basically, so it's just there. If you were to observe where it is in the heavens, it's in the constellation of Ophiuchus, and it has been there for a while. That is the serpent holder. So the facts is that the K2, the comet that's close to the Earth now, this is not 10 years ago story. This is now I'm telling you. Now look out the window now. You know. The comet that is closest to the Earth, because it's still very close. It just so happened that on the day the 14th, it just was the closest point, but it's still in the same region. We still feel it off of that energy. The astrologers don't speak about comets, it seems like, but that has its own energy too. So when it was closest to the Earth, and even now, and prior to that, you could see it in the constellation known as Ophiuchus. So where is K2, the comet, now? It's in Ophiuchus. Oh. Where was it when it was closest to the Earth on the 14th of July? Which is the day before my father's birthday, by the way. And the day before Gregory Isaac's birthday too. Isaac, but long story, short story though. Yeah. Where was it on the 14th day of July when it was closest to the Earth? It was in the constellation of Ophiuchus. So what is so special about this constellation of Ophiuchus? Ophiuchus is what is known as the serpent holder. All right, family, in the interest of time, we're gonna just cut to the chase. I know y'all comfortably. I know some of you just saying, hey, brother, take your time, man. This is some good stuff. Give thanks. I appreciate it. Let me just kind of cut to the chase in a sense. Ophiuchus is the serpent holder. So just to assist those who may not know the stars, this is the serpent holder here. Now, the rendition they have here is not really how the serpent holder looks. The serpent holder has on a turban. I'm not asking you. This is a code basically in astronomy, constellation detection. When you see a figure with a pyramid on their head, like a triangle, it's symbolic of a turban. The same thing with the herdsman. He's a man with a turban smoking a pipe. The serpent holder is a man with a turban with a long robe. I'm not making that up, eh? Listen, family. I'm sure many of you would have seen the documentary 7. There's a section in 7 entitled The Heavens Declare the Glory. And in the documentary 7, one of the things we highlight is that it's not only Bobo Shanti does be talking this, but there's an ancient tradition of God in 3 persons, 3 male beings. I know many of us, especially those of us that think with 2 Kemet, are going to say, oh, well, from ancient Kemet, the Trinity was Father, Mother, and Child. And I don't want to sound like I'm mocking it because I agree, I understand that. I mean, I would be nuts to disagree with that. But this is the heavens here. And the heavens highlight a Trinity of 3 male beings, as it also highlights a Trinity of the Father, Mother, and Child, basically on the other side. And that's where astronomy comes in. It's not that you see one Trinity in the heavens and another Trinity somewhere in the heavens. The Trinity of the 3 male beings, the prophet, priest, and king, is exactly 180 degrees away on the total opposite side of the Trinity with the Father, Mother, and Child. So that is showing you God Almighty who created the heavens is showing you that the 2 of them can work. There is a Trinity, a creational Trinity of Father, Mother, and Child. Nothing can happen without Father and Mother to bring the child. But then there is another Trinity, another earthly Trinity of prophet, priest, and king. having three human beings that have to be related, working together in one fashion. It's not nothing to lose your mind over. That is why in ancient Kemet, you see the male trinity of Ptah, Sokar, Asar. That's three male beings that became one God. So all the people that like to say there was no J in Hebrew. Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. All the people that like to say I purposely did that. I purposely did that. Because we follow too much talk. We don't research. You can tell when people research, enough of us, we too scholarly and think, I mean, we know everything now. If you really study, you would never be talking about the Trinity of three man is European, and ancient Africa never have no three-man Trinity. Ancient Kemet, then you go highlight ancient Kemet and go for the first Trinity, which is Osiris, Asar, and Osiris, Isis, and Horus as the first Trinity. That's not the first Trinity. I challenge anybody that said the Kemetic. That is not the first Trinity. That is not the first Trinity. The first Trinity is not Osiris, and it's not Isis, and it's not Heru. I'm telling you, the first Trinity is Amun, Mut, and Khonsu, and that's from Cush. And I'm only saying it so, because some of us, we move like we know it all. Oh, no, Kemet never deal with no three-man Trinity. That is the Bible business. Take your time, man. Ptah, Asa, Sokar. They made women. Them is three men that make a trinity, and each of the man them have their wives too. Okay, good. So the fact that I'm highlighting a trinity, look the trinity here, and let me show you why it's a trinity. Number one, I want you to understand the science. This is very important. On the total opposite side of the heavens, you have the two different trinities. So when one trinity is setting, when the sun is setting or setting in the sky, the next trinity is rising up in the east. So when one trinity going down in the west, you see the other trinity coming up in the east. So in other words, when Sagittarius and the serpent holder set in, Orion and Gemini rising, because Orion and Gemini is the other trinity. Gemini is the father and the mother, and Orion is their son. That's a trinity. And that's on one side of the heavens, and on the exact opposite side of the heavens. God make it so. You have three beings, which is the prophet, priest, and king, doing the same work. Now let me show you. Remember, the serpent holder is the individual that holds the serpent, and he's standing on the scorpion. And that is why you have Sagittarius now with his arrow pointing at the scorpion to slew it. And you have Hercules up here. Now, this rendition is totally off. This is the Greeks just draw some madness here. You understand? And even the way they align the constellation, this is not correct. I should have checked for the real thing and highlighted for you, but it's all right. But there is a constellation here. This is it here, Hercules, but they aligned it up real fishy. But Hercules is a man standing with a sword in his hand, and the sword is to chop off the neck of this serpent. So follow me good. Hercules is to the north, the serpent holder is in the center, and then you have the most southern constellation in the zodiac belt, which is Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius and Hercules, both of them, have a crown in front of them. See this crown here? This is the northern crown. This belongs to Hercules. Down here, you have the southern crown. This belongs to Sagittarius. Both Hercules and Sagittarius have weapons. Sagittarius' weapon, which is the arrow, is to kill the scorpion that the serpent holder is standing on. Hercules' weapon, which is his sword, is to kill the snake that the serpent holder is holding. So this serpent holder character is interesting. He, the serpent holder, doesn't have a weapon like Sagittarius. He, the serpent holder, doesn't have a sword like Hercules. How is it that Priest Isaac put these three people together? Look at all them other constellations around there. Why is it you make these three brothers together so you can big up your Baba Shanti Trinity business? No, that's not why I did it. You shouldn't have said that. That's not nice. That's not why I did it. I did it because it's only reality. That if this man holding a snake and he's standing on a scorpion, and then two other fellas here, one going to kill the scorpion he's standing on, and one going to kill the snake that he's holding, isn't it obvious that the three of them working together? Isn't it obvious that the three of them is a team? This is the heavens declare the glory. This is not the Rig Veda. This is not the Popol Vuh. This is not the Bible, and this is not the Quran. This is the sky. And the serpent Haile is not no BHS man here with nothing wrapped around him. This is a man with a turban and a robe, holding a snake and standing on a scorpion. He don't have no weapon to kill them. But the man with the arrow, which is the most southern constellation, this is Max. Sagittarius has the arrow to slew him, the scorpion. And the Hercules, the man which is not in the zodiac belt, but he's the most, he has a crown that makes him outstanding. He has a crown. There are only two crowns in the heavens, the northern crown and the southern crown. Sagittarius have the southern crown and Hercules have the northern crown. Serpent Haile don't have no crown. Neither does he have weapon, but he's in the middle and he's standing on the scorpion and he's holding the snake for the two to kill. So whether you believe in Priest Isaac Trinity or not, you can't deny that there is an obvious partnership here between these three constellations according to what we see in the heavens. And remember, I read the heavens, and what you're seeing here is what you see. Not the way the Greek version is being drawn here. As I said, I only use that maybe just, so that one could understand better, because if I take this out, it may be a bit more, it may be a bit complicated what I'm telling you, because all you're seeing is the stars and the lines. I could look at them and I know what is what, even though they have put the lines, some of them quite obscure to me, to obscure the truth. That's what they do from time to time. But of course, we have the original sky map, knowing exactly how the constellation stays. And that's what we used to study the constellations years ago. So all of this new type of formation they're giving us today can't fool me. I know exactly how they look. Sagittarius is not half man, half horse. Neither does the constellation show you that. Sagittarius is a man with his bow and arrow and a feather in his hat, and he has a crown in front of him. You understand? Just like Revelation says, a man shall come, which is the man that came off of the white horse, which is Capricorn, the white horse. And he came and he was given bows and arrows, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. That's it here. Revelation chapter 6. Perfect. That's why even Virgo is Revelation 12, the woman in the heavens lying on her back in travail to give birth to a child, and she was clothed with the sun and the moon was under her feet. That is her there. Astronomically, she's clothed with the sun once a year. Astronomically, the moon is under her feet once a month. It's just mathematics, and all of this is seen in the heavens. Good. So the serpent holder now, we as Bobo Shanti, we see, well, no, hold on, let me repeat that. I, Priest Isaac, let me not talk for nobody else. Let me talk for myself with this one. I, Priest Isaac, specifically see that the serpent holder is King Emmanuel. Again, for me to, let me use the term, beat that home, it'd have to take a little more time. But I've beaten that home several times. I've reached a certain point in my maturity. And I would hope one's listening have that level of maturity too, where you can see that even if you may not see something like me, especially with these things, Selassie, Emmanuel, and so and so. Even if a man don't hail the king, you can't tell me you don't see that there's divinity in the emperor. And that's why when a person, even if they're not Rastafari, say, hey, one thing I respect Selassie, I X, Y, Z, that's a powerful man, I give thanks. Even a Rasta don't hail King Emmanuel, but he can say one thing, boy, King Emmanuel is one of our precious elders. Exactly. So why he can't be in the stars? How much stars out there? So why he can't take one? He can't be a constellation. Look at all them constellations. Look at all these other constellations there. I'm just telling you that this one here represents Prince Emmanuel, the man with the robe and turban standing on the scorpion and holding the snake for the other two to come and damage. Now, you see, and I'm really looking to close this up now. You see, with clear understanding, family, show you this here as I look to see that, right? That the whole concept, just tiger with me here for a moment. Yes, let me just show you this here in my ceiling up. Let me just look for this. Let me show you this here. Now, of course, you know, as I said, we have a documentary entitled 7. I know many of you would have seen 7 and have a good idea what 7 is about. One of the things we highlight in 7, which I will show you right now, is that the whole science, that whole science of the tree seen in many ancient cultures is nothing weird, it's nothing square. It's nothing that we would have made up or anything like that. And of course, I always utilize this here. Let me show you it now, which is the science of the feathered snake. Just pardon me, let me just show it to you right now. And of course, the feathered snake science is very important. The feathered snake science is something that we have brought to the forefront several times. And of course, the whole mask of Lord Pakal, and how it highlights the 3 different faces. We highlight the footstool of Tutankhamun when you see the 3 different types of people, the man with the beard and no locks, the Olmec looking man, the man with the beard and locks. So we would have gone through this science many different times and showed you here that there is a, so that means, yes, pardon me for that. So that means now, in the ceiling above it now, if you recall what I said earlier, the comet coming through, right now, the comet is in the serpent holder. So let's bring this now to a reality. The comet is at its closest point to the earth. All now so. I mean, it was at the closest point on the 14th, but it hasn't gone out of, you know, the area as yet. So it is still hovering over the planet. The comet K2, in a sense, visited us for the emperor's birthday. Let's just meditate on that. And the comet is in the constellation known as the serpent holder. Now, what is interesting is that when the comet was coming through the serpent holder, which it still is in, the sun was just going into Kepra. Remember, you know, the comet came close to the earth during the time when we're going into the season of the emperor's birthday. And during that time, the same time, you see the sun here? It gone inside the constellation of Kepra. So the sun is in the beetle, not the lion. I've explained that from the beginning. The sun is in the beetle at the same time when you are seeing the comet inside of the serpent holder. And let me repeat, it's not that the comet is just inside of the serpent holder. It has been inside of the serpent holder for a long time because that's how it moves. But when it was closest to the planet, the same time the comet came closest to the planet was the exact same time that the sun was going into Kepra or Cancer, and that was the exact day that we had the super full moon. You know what's a super moon? That's when the moon is closest to the earth. So the moon was closest to the earth at the same time when the comet was closest to the earth, at the same time when the sun was going into Kepra, believe it or not, and keep it in mind, Kepra is the sign of Haile Selassie. Kepra represents the beetle. Kepra is Herbie, the full Isaiah 53. That is why we showed you everything we showed you about the Volkswagen and how the mystics of history, because that's what you do, you know, you have to watch history. According to the science, wisdom is found in the simplest of places. So wisdom pass under our nose, pass in front of our eyes every day. But because we're not picking it up and doing the mathematics, it goes away. So the heavens declare the glory. You can't tell me that this comet is in the serpent holder and closest to the earth and it don't mean nothing. You can't tell me it just don't mean nothing. It's just a stone flying through the sky and it passing close to the earth. No, I'm not buying that. Not when the Psalms clearly tell you, day unto day utter its speech, and night unto night show it knowledge. The firmament show it his handiwork. So because we know what the serpent holder represents, that's all it takes, you know. You have to know what the serpent holder represents, then you'll figure it out. And I'm telling you, the serpent holder represents the high priest, the tall man with the robe and turban. And that comet is inside of the serpent holder as it's closest to the earth. Them is deep vibes, you know. That day, the 14th day of July, you'd be surprised, maybe somebody born on that day, representing the serpent holder, because that's the day when the comet was closest to the earth, 2022. And on that day, the moon was closest to the earth too, 2022. And on that day, I just showed you, the sun was going in to Kepra, one of the signs of Haile Selassie I, while the comet was in the constellation that represents King Emmanuel, while it was closest to the earth. What are you telling me? The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament show it his handiwork. And from my point of view, all that is showing me is that what we are talking about is a unity and a oneness within the realms of Rastafari. That is what I pick up here, because this is how the ancient ones, you have to keep in mind, when you look in the moon, well, those of you who see this, you see an image of Haile Selassie in the moon, you know, in the moon. Now, when did that image go in the moon? That was there a long time, even before the king born. And we always knew, the ancients always knew that there was an image of a man in the moon. They knew that, and they knew that man will come. But remember the image of the king in the moon, you have on a cap with the badge and everything, and you know the picture. So that is to show us, family, that this is no mistake. This is not spookism. This is nothing, you know what I mean, like if we just going off the edge. This is heaven, the heavens reacting to us. That is why the Milky Way looks like the hurricane. That is why the solar system looks like the atom, because nature is mirroring itself. So what happened here on the planet, even in history, is already recorded in the heavens. But of course, it takes the shaman, like one of our guests that we had last Sunday on the Bible reasoning, she was saying that we need the shamans right here. Ones were saying that Emmanuel called for 7 loyal priests. To be honest, I don't even know that story there. And they were saying they don't see none. Imagine that. Imagine that. Family, give thanks for your patient listening and attention. Thanks for the 130th anniversary of the Earth Day of Emperor Haile Selassie I. And give thanks for the visitation of the comet as a reminder. And give thanks that the heavens declare the glory. Give thanks for your patient listening and attention. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Give thanks. Yes, family, blessed love. Give thanks for those who are patiently listening. Yes, anyone, you feel free. You know, you have to raise no hand. You can just come on screen if you want to say anything at all. You want to ask any question. I know it was quite lengthy. That's how it goes sometimes. That wasn't the plan. But anyway, give thanks for your patience. So feel free. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just come right in because we're not going to stay too long too. You don't know. Obviously, I will soon wrap this up. So you don't have to raise your hand. Just come on and I right here with you. Oh, yes, King, you're there, man. Blessed Lord.
Rastafari, Kadamawi Haile Selassie. And brethren,
yes,
holy, yes, holy Emmanuel I Selassie. Rastafari, Kadamawi, Haile. Yes, I. To all of the family, Happy Earth strong.
Yeah, man, to the King, man.
You know, we're coming from Bath. Yesterday I was at the Bingi in Bath, at His Majesty's Palace.
Yes, sir.
It was the most islandful Bingi for a long time.
So King Bandale is still pushing it?
Yes, I am. Bandele was there, man. Yes, brethren. Bandele, oh, Rastafari, if you ever know the amount of ancients who was there yesterday, brethren. Beautiful.
It might come on the internet, man. I'll see it. Joe.
Yeah, I can get some of the video to the eye, you know, through Empress of Scarlet Selassie, you know, Empress of
Of course, yeah, man.
The fruit of the Holy Trinity, our Holy Mother, you know. Man. Yeah, man. She was there and she blessed up the place, Rasta, and there was a sister from Jamaica there called Sister Taliba. One powerful sister. She's a powerful sister living in Jamaica. She was there at the Bingi. She's a baptismal name is Helena Mariam. She's the mother of the Holy Mother Mary. Yeah, hear me, Rasta?
Mother of the Holy Mother.
Mother Mary, yes, I am.
Double power there, man.
Yeah, man, a big, you know, powerful I am. Bridging, you know, and the power is still carrying on. And I give thanks for such a beautiful presentation, my brethren. So powerful. So, you know, you every time, Rasta, you give me so much overstanding. You know, Wira and I come together as one in this thing, you know, I mean, wow. Yes, I am. Beautiful.
Oh, my, give thanks. I am humble. I really am. You don't know you got me.
Yes, I am. Yes. But I just want to say, because I don't want to go too much. I know enough people must want to speak. So I just want to keep this kind of as quick as I can. But the star, what you were seeing there is the Pan star in the Orthodox liturgy.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
The Pantocrator. The Pantocrator. That is a name of the sun in the anaphoras of the Ethiopian Orthodox. Tewaida, which His Majesty gathered together. His Majesty gathered the 14 books together. There was only 3 books to be used in the Egyptian time of the Egyptian dominancy over the Ethiopian church. When His Majesty, the year 1951 in the Ethiopian calendar and 1959 in Babylon calendar, or we won't call it Babylon calendar, we call it in the current calendar. In the current calendar, it was 1959 that His Majesty freed the church from under Rome. You know, that is the power of His Majesty. And in that book, in that time of that creation of the church, His Majesty gathered 14 anaphoras together. The 14 anaphoras are what are used to turn the Holy Sacrament, the bread and the wine, into the Holy Sacrament. The 14 anaphoras which His Majesty gathered together, which every anaphora begins with the blessings of His Majesty and Empress Menen. His names are in the prayers at the number 83, 84. You know, I can go through different places, but His Majesty's in the prayers.
You think they still do that up to now? You don't feel they still?
They take His Majesty's name out of the book, Rasta.
Yeah, man, I would imagine.
You understand what I say, brethren?
Okay, yeah, man.
Yes. They took His Majesty's name out of the book. That is sacrilege. That's why, you know, Rastafari, I Rasta. We have burned out the church, you know. We want to cause any kind of friction.
Yeah.
But we know the truth. And Rastafari, as the eye as a priest, exactly. There's so many things you have said, Rasta, which is so powerful tonight. Like in Prince Emmanuel is the Christ, because there are two Christs, because there are two wheels. There is the Trinity wheel and there is the wheel of the four, which I have spoken about many times. And Prince Emmanuel is the Christ of the fourth wheel, the four quarters. And His Majesty is the Almighty God of the three wheels, which is Ptah. That's why Rasta, where you see Ptah and you see the lion together, exactly how you've explained it today. I don't want to go, Rasta, I can't go into it because
I know that energy, you know, when you see how far down the road you have to reach as a boy, listen. But just for the audience, I want to say just that, you know, what Priest Isaac is showing the idea, he's a gift. He's a gift to the world. This is my personal, Priest Isaac is the high priest of the Bob Ashanti order, without a doubt. I don't care. You know, I know this from a scientific point of view that Priest Isaac is the high priest of the Bob Ashanti order, who Prince Emmanuel spoke of, the man who would understand the stars. It is Priest Isaac as sitting before the eye. Beautiful work, my brethren. Beautiful work. That's, you know. But can I just say another thing before I go? Because Empress Ascali Selassie, you know, she's always the sister who compiles the Rastafari calendar. Yes, I know. Yes,
calendars.
Yep.
And this year she's produced a beautiful calendar, brethren, and she's got an image. I don't know if I can show I don't know if the item can see.
So, yeah, I can see one. I believe so.
Can you see this?
Yeah, with the African.
Yes, it is Africa rising. It's very beautiful and it's very powerful.
It's rising out of a woman there or something?
It's rising out of a fire. It's rising out of the volcano. It's rising It's rising out of the fire.
Okay, see, yes.
That is Africa rising. It's the Empress Menen Foundation. This calendar is a 16-month calendar. It begins in the Ethiopian September, beginning of the new year, and it ends not September the following year, but the December of the following year.
Wow.
Because this is the Noah calendar. This is in the Ethiopian time, they have a time of a 15-month count. It's 150 days. Is 5 months. And it's a 15-month count. This is it, Rastafari. This is it. We are the children of what they spoke about of Noah. This is it, my brethren. And my sister, she wrote a foreword in this book, which she gave from His Majesty. You know, she used His Majesty's speech, you know. And I just want to read just the beginning of it, just so the people then can get to understand the power of the Queen Mother's work. She's our Queen Mother, you know. And this is her work. And she says, in light and beloved readers, when His Majesty says there has been much accomplished here, but the major part of the work is yet to be done, I know exactly what he means. What a judgment on the earth. Wake up, Russ world. Eyes open wide. Calendar book will help a great deal. You know, that is just a few words of the Empress, you know. but she's
been on the battlefield for a while. Eh?
Oh, she's on the, she never stops on the battlefield. And I want to say, if anybody wants to get this calendar, this is a this is a Rastafari calendar. You know, this is
they have a link on there.
And I would ask the, you know, I know with this ocean and things. Yes, Russ, I'm going to give you the link. I'll give you her
I know she's on Facebook and all of that.
That's how the item can. No, but I think she's on Facebook. But really, if I could give you this WhatsApp number for the Empress.
Sound good.
You know, this is where the item can contact her throughout the world, and she will send you these things. And her number is an Ethiopian number, is an international Ethiopian number. So it's 00251 91613 6182. You get that, Bridget?
00251.
That's the international.
1613618
Yeah, the number you just said. Oh, the number you just said, Bridget. Say the number again. 91613. You get?
Yeah, 916136182.
Yeah, yes, Bridget, you have it. You have it,
man. I get it, man.
Yes, Bridget, and
yes,
I would love to, you know, this is a very powerful
yes,
calendar, my Bridget. You know, and even, you know, I know I'm even explaining to the Empress, the work she's doing is so divinely inspired, because this 15 Noah, you know, the count of Noah, what they use in the Ethiopian church, the 150 hours, it's called a Kalet. It's a 150 is what they use to go into ancient realms of time in the calculations, up to 194 million years.
Them words of calculation calendar. Interesting.
Yes, well, the Kalet is 150 hours, and you know, and this is a 15-month calendar. It is related to that Kalet.
Yes.
Defines it. That is the minute that defines this. And this, the 150 days count, brethren, carries you to when you start using this calendar, it carries you to the 7th of February, what is Prince Emmanuel told the item is time of the new year.
Yeah, check it. Wow.
Yes, brethren.
It's a lot of science, man.
Yes, but this is where we come together. You like the I was saying, we are Rastafari with one accord, brethren.
Yes,
we're not. There's no two camps. There's two wheels. There's two different wheels which holds a Christ, which is I and I.
But it's one other man.
Prince Emmanuel and with His Majesty and Emperor Menelik is in this. In it, all of the Ethiopian royal family is in it.
Of course.
In the tree wheel, you know. So, brethren,
give thanks, man.
Let everybody else, you know. But may I say, may the powers of Kadamawi, Haile Selassie bless everybody in the world, because this is time.
Give thanks, I really appreciate it. Yeah, man. I hear what King Little saying, and then Tony Tapai, and then we got Seal Up, man. Yes, Ras Little. Give thanks, man. Always in the house. Give thanks.
Give thanks for the King 130th Earth Strong, you know?
Earth Strong.
Definitely the 3-in-1, the 1-in-3, you know? The Kepra Comet, you know?
Joe, man.
Definitely, you know? Right. That's why the K, that's why them call it the K, you know? Definitely, the Kepra, you know?
That's your K too, but there, man.
See, man. Give thanks for the eye, you know? For deliver, and you don't know, say, the one that cometh to read the star is definitely prophetic by Prince Emmanuel. And, you know, I give thanks the fulfillment of the works. I would just go and big up I and I go and big up yourself, set speed and I do a thing, you know.
Right. Humble.
But give thanks, man, in a celebration for the
Man.
King,
No,
His Majesty.
not bad.
Lawgiver and the keeper of the law, you know. Selassie.
Rastafari. Give thanks, man. Yeah, man. Enough good celebration go on them way to it.
Yeah, man.
Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Give thanks, man. Well, as I see, now we're getting late. Tony Top. Give thanks for being in the house again. Yeah, you can give us I know yeah, you have to say something, man. You're on mute, you know.
Sí, primero, en English.
Spanish,
Yes. Yeah, Spanish is our maternal language here in South America.
No, man, I know.
And excuse me for being late, but I'm right here.
Oh, you're just coming. Well, maybe you can get the video, you know. So you can see.
Yeah. Every time I'm not right at the first time, I see the video then.
Okay.
And I see a little reviews from the last Sunday reunion in YouTube also.
Yeah, I put that up.
I'm passing a little hard times. I hope soon have the money for pass more than the $10 because now I'm living hostel to hostel with no job and a little amount of money. Trading to Zion every time, but it's a difficult time to the eye because I'm worshipping from reactivating the INI in a righteous path in my land. And in the week I see a little moments I can reach Mi Alpha Phi and the Electra Omegas supporting the eye in the streets and making the union right for put it down all the electromagnetic chaos they try to make it in the society today with the COVID and grapheno. I see the one time all the time in this moment. So I hope and I wish to stand the mission soon for put it down all the tricky things they are doing. I see the Illuminatis out there trying to ripping and shooting and all that kind of stuff. You know, they are identity stealers. They are eating the backs of the people, trying to steal the identity of everyone. It's because of that I sending message like in a binary words sometimes.
Yes, I see they are big on the message thing. Well, I mean, I know it is, you know, as I say, you know,
I am truly agree with Ratseifa Selassie. And I have to think a little thing for all the Rastafari are here. We must not forget Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie is a devotion human being to the Tewaedo faith. And if we now render the devotion to the devotion of Haile Selassie, have it as the origin of we see as a Christ in him, we are not seeking the same path of our majesty. I see that because I see more mistakes in the Rastafari camps than in the Tewaedo Ethiopian church every time I try to connect with them. And I know see them it's better and we are less. It's like it's the origin of the faith of our majesty and we cannot deny that.
Right. I want to easily say that that the Christ himself, the same order that worships the Christ, the same order that His Majesty trod, the Christ himself, the Christ himself would not have trod that specific order. Now, they may have been rooted in a oneness because it's almost like an advance, you know. It's almost like Rastafari advance. Every time I watch the Ethiopian priests, them doing their thing, some of them look like they have on some turban. I say, well, if it's lax, then man have on that. But more than likely, no, it's not because they can't, some of them can't carry it to do because what they're pushing out. So, but what I say, why I was saying that to you is to show now, His Majesty
think-
being an Orthodox Christian and we not Orthodox Christian. I understand the point. It's a good, valid point. But then, as I said, when you understand that dispensation follows dispensation, and the king could have really come to end that dispensation to, you know, carry to another level, just like how the Christ did. Where is it? Go ahead.
I feel in more my culture that's Ras Michael, Rastafari Christian Orthodox.
Well, fair enough. I mean, everyone have to know their part, and I just showing you. I was just giving an answer for why, you know, the king, he wouldn't come down on a one because he's not a Tuado Christian specifically. But we're Christ, man, eh?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
We are working together for the Black Christ agenda. I know that.
Okay, fair enough. But Bridget, we touching 11 o'clock, you know, give thanks to all ones. You don't know. Well, we started a little bit off.
The last thing I want to
go
say
ahead.
Is I have it a meditation in the week and I want to share this, and I see Jesus Christus like the Christ of water, because he can change the cells in the people. And as in the Bible say, he cells of the eyes of the people, he changed the cells of the bones of the people, he make people walk, you know. And Haile Selassie is the Christ of fire. And every age have their own avatar, you know. And I don't know, it's for centuries or for millenniums or for decades sometimes. And I think it's coming a new age. We must think the Christ is an elemental thing. I know sound like a little child speaking about this thing for the cartoons about that, but it's not too far than that, because if we're thinking Selassie was the Christ of fire in his age. Every knee bow in front of him and in front of his eyes, you know. So, and the only empire doesn't want to bow in front of him is the Vatican Empire, and that image is the presence of David in front of Goliath for the eye. So I want to see it. I want to say we must have it the liberty straight forward to know the Christ. It's gonna the figures of Christ is gonna come again and again, because the humanity in different parts of the history needs come the Christ to us for realign us and saying, hey, humanity, you go wrong, and this is the way.
Sure. That's the
That is the last thing I want to say.
Yeah, man, I could work with that.
My Lord, and I live it some difficult times in the last months, and I really appreciate the Tiger's Nest and all the things they give me, like knowledge from you, Priest Isaac, a really good professor and really good master, and Empress Nia, and in his knowledge, in her knowledge and her powers. So I give thanks for life, I do.
Because you love, man. I mean, you don't know what I would say to you, I would say to anyone, you know, if someone may feel well and not doing the right thing, but I mean, you can't be out with us and let's just say you can't find a contribution and expect to stay out. Just let us know what's going on. You don't have to tell nobody, just let us know. You know? But everything is blessed, family. But before I go, no, that thing about Christ being the water and the king, this Christ the fire. And it's interesting. Yeah, man, it's interesting, especially the way you explained it too. So I assume that a Christ of air would come and a Christ of the earth too. You were asking that, Tony Top, from what you explained. The Isos, the Christ of water, His Majesty, the Christ of fire. So there's a Christ of air and a Christ of earth too. Or Christs, as you're saying, they come in different times. It's a good understanding. I can balance with that straight up. But anyway, family, give thanks. Give thanks for the love, each and every one.
Elemental, I
in the
only
chat.
talking about the elements. About
No,
the
no,
cloth.
no, I totally with you now. Believe me, I get you, man. Trust me, I have you. I agree. I agree. When I say I agree, well, I have to go deeper into what you said, but I agree with that concept of, you know, it's just like the Medunet and so on. All of them so-called gods have the elements they align with. You know, air, fire, water, ether, etheric. So yeah, it's deep, it's deep. I get you, man. Don't worry. And the example that you showed, how Christ deal with the water, and even when you said all nations bow to Haile Selassie, because the Christ we read of it in the Bible get a slightly different reception than what the emperor gets. So you could see the two different elements. I get you, man. And one may argue that the emperor come with all the elements. Maybe the fire stand out to you. You know, so but it's a good argument, you know. I like it. Don't get me wrong. My family give thanks. Love to everyone.
Every time the avatars coming with all the elements, but they represent one.
Yes. Okay, even that. No, I
Like
wouldn't argue that. No, I wouldn't argue that, you know, because no, I wouldn't argue that. In fact, I wouldn't even add to what you said. I agree. I agree. Yeah, family. Love to all, eh? Last year. Yeah.
Rastafari.
And all those in the chat. Blessed. Give thanks to the King. Earth strong, you know. Love. And all the ones who didn't come on screen, blessed love to the item too. Love in the house. Give thanks, man, and give thanks.